What are you practicing for, Rishi?
I'm actually taking pictures, Kunal. See, now I'm having an imaginary camera and I have an imaginary lens and a very imaginary aperture speed.
As long as you have imaginary shutter speed as well now. What are you getting at? I'm lost.
Okay, I wasn't lost. I was very, very, very impressed with what Max Verstappen did because he was the only amount of entertainment we got all throughout the Chinese Grand Prix. And when he parked that car in that very, very nice angle on the start finish straight, I thought the car was posing for itself. And the car refused to leave the red carpet when so many people tried to take it off the track.
Absolutely. I remember. It was like the Chinese marshals were unable to equip themselves with Italian French technology, Rishi.
That's what Max is called that. But yes, it was safely put behind the barriers and into the pit lane. If you otherwise want to know another technique of putting a car in a pit lane or behind the pit lane, it should be Pastor Maldonado's technique. What was he trying to do?
I think the pastor in him was trying to go to the church on Sunday.
Okay, but I'm going to come back to Max, Kunal. The Chinese Grand Prix, a bit of an expected result, a little boring, if I may call it, like other people have been calling it, but Max was really good. The way he did those hairpin overtaking moves, I was like, my heart was in my mouth, and I thought he would lock up anytime, but he came out clean every single time.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He Ericsson Marcus Ericsson. Okay. But I cannot imagine, like, I have driven some bit of race cars, Rishi, and I was surprised with the amount of late braking. And like you said, he wasn't even locking up the inside front tire, which was absolutely outstanding. I can't wait for Bahrain to see what Max Verstappen can do there.
Alright, we're gonna continue with the lol moments at the Chinese Grand Prix, post the Chinese Grand Prix. Pastor Maldonado crashing again, but this time it wasn't him, it was Jensen Button.
That to me is a lol moment, you know. Imagine Button. I can't remember when did he last get a driving penalty.
No, but I definitely remember what Maldonado was trying to do was actually a Raikkonen that Raikkonen did in Brazil.
You mean trying to go and find another way to the circuit?
Actually, Raikkonen was trying to plow the field.
But you know what? If I was Jensen Button, I would ask for a one race ban for Bahrain. Willingly so. I mean, imagine I have to trudge that bloody McLaren all around the circuit trying to fight with the minnows or probably even worse than that. I'd rather get a one race ban.
The other lol moment coming from Kimi Raikkonen. Firstly, I really loved what he was doing, that little singing bit that he did this time. Take the McLarens out of the way, out of the way. But what he said later after the race was even more funny, where he says, Ferrari can win the championship with this car.
I cannot imagine. I can tell you all this Ferrari versus McLaren. We very willingly participated in the hype. It's going to be damn tough for anyone to get close to Mercedes. But anyways, we'll continue with the lol moments.
Okay, Alonso's turned around and said to this that McLaren will win the world championship before Ferrari manages to do so.
You know, to me, Rishi, he's a very wise guy. And I loved his statement where he said that come November, he will decide if moving from Ferrari was a mistake or not. Because if he finishes second,
What's the point?
what's the point? Because he's finished second 3 times in the last 5 years. Fantastic.
He's still finishing second with the McLaren, but that's from the backside of the grid.
And you know what? I suspect, going by existing form, that he may not win a world championship before he retires.
I hate to say that, but I might disagree because, for some reason he's never been in the right place at the right time after Renault. So, little unlucky for that kind of talent.
True.
But Rosberg turned it around and first claiming Hamilton did whatever he did, but next he said Hamilton is not worth 200 million whatever dollars.
My God, I cannot imagine that he is resorting to such tactics to try and get a mental upmanship on Lewis.
But coming on tactics, do you think what Lewis was doing was fair or unfair when he was slowing down in the second stint?
I think it was absolutely fair. I don't know what the driver discussions were during the team brief, but it's absolutely fair. It's what Fangio said at one point of time, that it's about winning the race at the slowest possible pace. And that's what Lewis did. Hats off to him.
Okay, but what I think is if Nico has had such a big problem, all he had to do was go ahead, get close to Lewis and try overtaking him.
Absolutely. I don't know why he didn't do that. Yes, there would have been team orders at play. Yes, it would have been even more difficult given that they're in the same car with the same tires, etc. But well, that's the reality of it. If Nico wants to beat Lewis, he has to do it in qualifying, start ahead and stay ahead of him in the race, and then play these tactics on Lewis. That's what he did last year.
Well, Renault said that they understand Red Bull Racing's pain and the fact that, yes, it's really painful. And what I feel is more painful is when you see Max Verstappen racing in front of you when you're the flagship team and they're the junior team. I mean, that's going to be a little painful. I mean,
I'm sure there's more than a little pain there. And the funny part of Red Bull Racing, and they have been partners with us, but well, so what? I can crack jokes on you, I can crack jokes on Red Bull Racing. Okay. They signed up a long-term Chinese sponsor.
okay.
They signed up a long-term Chinese sponsor
Uh-huh.
at the Chinese Grand Prix.
Mhm.
And a couple of hours later, they issued another quit threat. But
Mhm.
they actually have a very different threat this time. They said, listen, we just need a competitive engine. And they somewhere are stuck because they can't go to Ferrari. They can't go to Mercedes. And Renault's incapable of delivering. So they're saying, listen, we just need a competitive engine. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Max Verstappen was driving the engine that blew, that turned into a barbecue, that had steam all over it. I could have done some idlis in it. So what I'm trying to say is if Max was the hero, because he was really entertaining, that 17-year-old was fantastic.
Yeah.
Who was the villain of the story?
Was it Nico or
Was it Hamilton who was trying to play Nico? Well, Niki Lauda turned around and said, well, drivers have to be egocentric and self-centric and little selfish. And Wolf has said,
he said that the team victory is more important than driver victories, which is again very mixed communication from the Mercedes camp.
very bad PR.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm for what Lewis did, but this isn't how you split your communication post race.
The communication that comes to us via you, our listeners, our lovely, lovely listeners. Lucian, you came up with this absolutely great analogy. Well, he was also helping us with the questions for David Coulthard. He actually came up with this great analogy that is Rosberg the new David Coulthard.
Hats off. I mean,
Woo!
what a super question. And the answer could just be yes, you never
Yes,
know.
because you're quick, but you're just not there.
Yes.
Just not there.
But yes, in a way, Rishi, he is David Coulthard.
Because he's been, along with David Coulthard, the only racer that we've had on the Inside Line F1 podcast.
Absolutely, yes. You read my mind, Rishi Kapoor.
Yes, I was there. I was very
And
much
maybe when we interviewed Nico Rosberg a decade later after he's hung up his boots, he might just turn around and say, I guess, you know what, the 2014 and the 15 championship, I lost to a better driver called Lewis Hamilton. You may never know, he might do a David Coulthard on us.
You might never know that we may never see a Chinese Grand Prix again because there's a big threat on the fact that the Chinese circuit owners have not paid Bernie and they're asking for change in F1 and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the reality of it, but every single person I've spoken to during the Chinese Grand Prix, after the Chinese Grand Prix, I haven't spoken to the Chinese Grand Prix officials, don't worry.
Because you don't understand Chinese.
But every person wants a change in the sport. But the irony of this, to me, is we have two teams fighting at the front. We have two world champions fighting at the front.
Yes.
We have a junior 17-year-old driver doing all the tricks. So basically, we've got entertainment in sports, but we still are bored with the current formula. What is it? What is the reason I'm unable to, put a pin on this? Are you?
Well, this is after everybody's working so hard, including us to drive the sport. We are getting drive nuts ourselves. This also brings us back to, oh God, Bahrain save us. Because, well, Bahrain was really entertaining last year. But what I'm fearful, and I'm going to put it in as many words as I can, that in Bahrain, last year there was testing. So every team knew how to set up their cars, so they were close to each other. This year there was no testing, so there's going to be difference in performance. Point B, Ferrari can't challenge Mercedes because, well, the race is in the night and the desert cools down, the sand cools down quicker in the night. So what it means is the track temperature will be lower.
True.
And that's why Mercedes will not have the degradation issues. The only thing that can save us now is a Nico Rosberg upping his game and challenging Lewis like last year.
I really hope so. Let's do a havan like we've always done. We'll do a prayer service for Nico saying, go Nico, go fight Lewis, don't get us bored again. Because I personally agree with your view. The Mercedes versus Ferrari talk is a lot of hype because everyone wants to keep the interest up in the sport. We don't deny it. We are also for the business of the sport. That's how we also make money.
Woo!
But all eyes on Max Verstappen again.
But this time they were because, the anticlimax that he caused, the safety car that he caused, got Mercedes together. This was Burt Mylander's safety car, which was obviously a Mercedes car, and then the two Mercedes GP cars.
Absolutely.
There couldn't be a better podium for Mercedes, could there be?
Yeah, and like Binoy, one of our listeners put it, that it was so near yet so far for Max Verstappen and Bernd Maylander.
So stay tuned to the Inside Line F1 podcast with Kunal Shah and Rishi Kapoor. You have to stay tuned with us because, well, we have Red Bull merchandise to give away. We have caps, we have flags, when we have a very good contest coming up.
And they are signed by David Coulthard and Daniel Ricciardo, the 440 watt smiler.
Yes. They're all lying with us and we're waiting to get them couriered and sent across to you. Do not forget, next week we're going to feature and we're going to put our pins on what we think as Formula One analysts should be the change in the sport that could save the sport, because the sport right now is in the ICCU mode.
Absolutely. There's a doctor in you, Rishi Kapoor.
We see you next time post Bahrain. Here's wishing you guys a lot of happy racing because, well, it's going to be in the night. I don't want to sleep early.
Yeah.